Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Building Bigger Lives podcast. Along with my co-host, Kathryn Peterson, we have a returning guest, our friend John Donnelly, who, as you saw, if you read the title and clicked through, is going to pick up on a story we explored with him about a year ago. And we now get the rest of the story, which will be a lot of fun today. But before I set up the storyline too much, let me just remind those of you who might be interested in John's story, go back in our show notes and click through the previous episode link. It's a great introduction to some of John's story as a leader in the housing industry, a guy who shared a lot about where he came from, what inspires him, the kind of things he enjoys learning about, and that's one of the things I've learned in spending time over the last decade with John is he's a voracious learner. The guy loves learning new things. So whether it's reading, whether it's experimenting and trying, or whether it's adventuring, pretty much any application of learning you want to take, this guy's willing to give it a shot. And I love that about him because he doesn't always feel like he has to have accomplished something massive. Everything he learns leads him to explore the next idea. And you're going to pick up on that as we visit with our friend John today. But before we bring our guest into the frame, Kathryn, always good to be with you. Thanks for joining me again on another great episode of Building Bigger Lives.
Good to be here. And I'm going to throw in a few little things. So, John was on episode 23, if you're looking, and he is at Service First Mortgage. He's the executive director of sales, and he's been there for about 16 years. And what I'm excited about is to hear about his journey. So, without further ado, tell us about it. For those who don't know, you might have been not following John, but we're excited to hear about it. So, give us the quick breakdown, and then we'll go from there.
Kathryn, how could somebody not be following John? John, you are a recent recipient of one of the top 100 influencers on LinkedIn in the housing industry, a fact which came out during this recent journey. I think I sent it to you while you were somewhat in motion, but Kathryn, everybody's following John Donnelly.
That's
Good
right.
to see you today, JD.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I'm really excited to come back. I can't wait to share kind of what's happened, like the rest of the story, like you said, Michael. So, my first thought is let me just frame what happened here real quick. So go back to where we were talking last. I read this book, The 12-Hour Walk by Colin O'Brady. I did this walk. And in this walk, I walked 30 miles or almost 30 miles. And I thought about like I'm turning 50, it's significant. What can I do that, will challenge me, get me in shape, really push myself, and do something hard. And so Kilimanjaro has been something I've talked about for 10 years. And I thought that's it. That's the thing I got to do. So I make that commitment, and then I go out and I put my plan together. I have a buddy of mine that's going with me. He can't do it. So I'm thinking, I've already told the world I'm going, so I got to go. So I'm going by myself. So I'm doing a lot of this training by myself. I think that's important because I did. I put it all out online. I told the world I'm going. I told my friends. I put it on social. Along the journey, I come across a gym in my community called Conquer Fitness, and I see an Instagram ad. I go in there, and they're like, "Hey, come work out. We'll help you get ready." I was like, "Okay." So I start working out there. I made it through 113 workouts before I leave. So last year. And this gym has been good for me. So I work out 3 days a week, and then I walk a lot or hike a lot. That's how I prepared. But I had to prepare. It really mattered in the end. And so along the journey, kind of 4 months before I leave, a good friend of mine that's a realtor, we're having lunch. I tell him, "Hey, I'm going by myself. This is where I'm at." And he follows up with me after and says, "Hey, send me the itinerary." It's my friend Mark Cable. And I was like, "Okay, are you thinking about going?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about going. If the doctor checks me out and I'm okay, I think I'm going to go." I'm like, "Why? Why do you want to go? You've never even been interested. I've been telling you about this." And he's like, "It's kind of one of those things. I've got this shoulder tap and I can't really tell you why, but I think I need to be there with you, and I think you don't need to be by yourself." And to me, that's like real friendship. Like, this dude is going, "I just need to go with you. I don't know why, but I'm going." And it was awesome. Like, it was great to have him. I mean, it's always better to go with somebody than by yourself. So we fly to Tanzania, and it's 24 hours of flying, 15 hours to Doha, Qatar, almost 6 hours to Tanzania. We get there and we do all the gear checks. We're ready. Like we have prepared. Like trust me, we are ready. We even checked good on the gear checks. And then day one, we go to get on the bus and it's amazing. So we have joined a team climb, if you will, a group climb. There's 9 other climbers plus us. So 11 climbers, 5 guides. These guides have to go through 4 years of school, get certified by the state. This is a big deal. So guides, they speak English really well. They're awesome. 5 guides and 40 porters. So that's the kind of crew we're looking at. 40 porters. They have to carry our tents, our food, all of our stuff. So it's a significant amount of people. Before we leave and we load up the bus, all the porters, they gather around and they start singing. And they have these like, I don't know what they're called, but it's like these African songs. It's in Swahili and they chant. Hakuna Matata is a big part, you hear that. And it's kind of mesmerizing. There's this one guy, Aristo, and he steps out of the porters and he is singing like almost like a haka dance. Like it's in his eyes and he's like committed and he leads it and everybody follows. And I'm like mesmerized by this guy. And so we sing and dance for like 10 minutes. It's going on and on and on and on. It's cool. That matters because I'll come back to that. So anyway, we go, right? So we get on this bus, we ride for 3 hours to the place where we launch. What's interesting is we listen to Kenny Rogers the whole way. I thought that was interesting. It's kind of an interesting point. I'm not sure that they know about new music, but hey, we're on Kenny Rogers in Africa. And so we do that. We get there, and that day one, we have lunch and we go hiking, and that kind of starts the whole thing, and the beginning is you're in a tropical area. There's monkeys, it seems kind of easy, 3 hours, we get to camp, we set up, we learn how everything works. The way it works is every meal is in a tent, like a dining tent. So all of 11 of us are in a tent. There's somebody cooking our food. They serve you the food. It's pretty amazing. Like these porters carry all this stuff. Mark and I share a tent. Every night, when you get to camp, they bring you hot water. That's kind of nice. You can kind of wash off. And then the next day you get up and go. What's crazy is you line up and you start walking and hiking, and then the porters take down all your camp, put it all on their backs, run past you, and set it up again before you get there every single day. And these guys are amazing people, just amazing humans. And so we were, going into it, we're into day 2. And I was asking one of the guides at that evening, I was like, hey, where's that Aristo guy, the guy that was leading that chant, And he's like, oh, he's here. I'll go get him. So he brings him to me, and I'm like, okay. I didn't really know what I was going to tell him, but they had to translate. He didn't speak English great, but I was just like, hey man, your passion was like mesmerizing. The way you led that song, like it was awesome. And so I talked to him for a while, got to know him, and then later on he comes and grabs my shoes and cleans them. Like we have this connection. I don't know. He calls me Papa. I'm 50 years old. In their culture, like you get married really young, 17, 18. So I'm at the age I'm supposed to have grandkids. They all want to know how many grandkids I have. I don't have any grandkids yet. And so they call me Papa, or he does. This guy's interesting. So anyway, we keep hiking. The way it works is you go relentlessly uphill every day, 10 miles. Like it's a hike, it's doable, but it's a lot. So you're tired at night. And on one day, there's an area called the Barranco Wall. It's on day 3, and it's significant amount of climbing, like with your hands, and it's 1,800 feet. So there's a drop. The guides are there. Like it's technical, but not too technical, but it's kind of fun. Like that's a challenging day. During that day, I learned a really good lesson. There's a place where the guide would take you down and kind of zigzag you back. And I was in the middle of the line, like the 11 of us. And I was kind of behind, so I shortcut it and I hop up. And Declan was our lead guide that day. He comes back and he looks at me and he goes, hey, my job is to get you guys up safe. The route I'm taking you, you have to follow exactly because it's the safest route and it's the best route. No shortcuts. We don't need anybody to have any accidents. I was like, understood. I got it, And it was me and then a couple of us kind of get off track every once in a while. We just kind of wanted to do our own thing, every once in a while. And I went to him that night and I said, Declan, I want to tell you, I really appreciate that you corrected me, because what it did, and I don't know if you realize this, but you gave comfort to the rest of the group by knowing you're in charge. By that leadership that you're setting out there, it actually kind of made everybody follow the line and know, hey, we're going to be safe. Declan's in charge. That's a good lesson to learn. And so I've had time to reflect on this a little bit. So I've really been thinking about the things I've learned. So I'm kind of sharing them along the way with you. But, so we go and we have to go up to acclimate, right? We go up from 13,000 feet on day 4 or day 3 to 15,000 feet at this lava tower. And you really are looking at like, oh my gosh, this thing is so tall. 19,340 feet is high. And then we get around, so like the big night is the day 5 night. It's a 7-day climb, is the summit night. So base camp, as we are, it's 15,000 feet where we sit, and we have dinner, and we learn we're leaving at 11 p.m. We were thinking 12, but I think they looked at us and thought we're a little bit slower, so let's go at 11. So we come, I don't sleep all day. I got up at 6 that morning. I don't sleep while I tried. They gave us some time. I couldn't do it. I guess I was too excited or whatever. And so we leave at 11, headlamps on in a row, and we never could see the summit when we got to base camp because it was cloudy. So we didn't know exactly where we're going. We just know it's up. It's 4,300 feet up to the summit. So it's high. So it took us 7 hours to get to the top of the rim of the volcano, from 11 till 6:30 in the morning. And then we had tea. They brought hot tea, this awesome tea. I don't know, it was great. We had this hot tea, and then we had to go over a glacier for another hour to the highest peak. So it took from 11 a.m. till 7:30 p.m. Well, on that night, every person gets assigned either a guide or a porter to go as their personal person, because altitude sickness is a real problem. They check your vitals, like they're keeping an eye on you. And you're going to go through this significant test. Well, they assigned me Aristo, the guy that's the singer guy that I've been talking to, of course. And so I love this guy. So he's like, Papa, and we go, and this guy, like everything I need, he's on it. I have a backpack with a Camelback water and a hose, and I have 2 bottles of water that have socks on them, and they have to go in his pack upside down. Halfway up, my whole Camelback freezes. That's how cold it is. My tubes, my Camelback, everything. So by putting those upside down, they freeze on the top so we can drink. So he's carrying those waters for me. And then we're just going through the night. And the higher we go, like the slower we get. I literally, almost to the top of the rim, I laughed one time. I was like, if I walk any slower, I'm going to be stopped. I can't believe how slow I'm going. And it didn't really hurt, but I didn't have a lot of power, like it just was taking the life out of me. And so, Mark, my buddy, said it best. He said he loves his hobbies, mountain riding motorcycles in the mountains. He said at 12,000 feet, his motorcycle has half the power, an engine in a motorcycle. He's like, our body is feeling that right now. I was like, he's right. And so we get to that top peak called Stella Point, and we have to go over this glacier for an hour. And I'm just cooked. Like, I'm tired. I'm happy I'm there. I'm just tired, and I'm hot the whole time. I like so many layers. And we're about halfway there, and our line just kind of stops. It's kind of slippery, and I'm sitting there with my poles down, and I'm looking at the ground. I'm just kind of resting, but I'm spent, and my nose is literally running out of my nose, and I'm coughing a little bit. Luckily, that's all I had. A lot of other people had some more symptoms, but Aristo gets some toilet paper and he's holding it and he's looking at me, and I don't even acknowledge him. And he reaches up and he wipes my nose and he makes me blow. And I was like, I've lost all dignity at this moment. Like, I can't even wipe my own nose. But I tell you that because I didn't even care. Like, I was so tired. I was just like, I don't even care if you want to wipe my nose right now. This guy was amazing to me. And so that's how I thought. What's cool is I have a picture of this because I gave the guides my camera going up at the end, because I said, I think I'm so tired I can't take a picture. By the time I get my gloves off and do all that, and they just took pictures for me, which was awesome. So anyway, I have a picture of him wiping my nose, which kind of stinks, but it's good, you know. So we make the top, you know, we make the top, and I'm just relieved. Honestly, my feeling is relief. Like, I made it. Thank God I made it, because it's 60% chance that we were going to make it. That's the odds of our crew on a 7-day climb. So out of our group, we thought a few of us might not. Only one of us didn't make it. It was unfortunate. One of our girls the girls on our group got really like, it was bad. She started vomiting, and they had to bring her down. It was bad, but it's just altitude sickness, right? And so anyway, we get up there, and you know, you're up there, you celebrate, it's fun, you take some pictures. All we want to do is sit down because we've been awake all night long, all night long. That there was a point about 3 or 4 in the morning. It's dark and you're tired, and if you see a rock on the trail, you're like, oh, when I step up on that rock, I'm gonna have to stop a second and get my breath, because it's gonna take all my breath to step up. That's like how tired it is at that altitude. But what was interesting, I had prepared myself with these stories to get me through this moment, like when I knew it was gonna be hard. But none of those stories mattered, because when I was leaving the day to go get on the airport to fly out of here, I was at our corporate office, and I was in some meetings, and Sean, the owner of our company, my buddy, who was the first person to ever tell me, let's go climb Kilimanjaro 10 years ago, mind you, pulls me aside, puts his arm around me, and says, I know I should probably be going. I just can't go this time. I said, I get it. He goes, let me tell you something. You've put this out to the world. You've been pretty bold. If you don't make it, you don't have to tell everybody. You can just like say you climb Kilimanjaro. And I was like, huh, that's kind of weird advice. Like, I haven't heard that from anybody. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, he was my anger inside of me. Like, screw you, dude. I'm making it, you know? Like, as tired as I was and as slow as I was feeling, I was like, there's no way I'm going to do what Sean's telling me. Like, there's no way I'm not making it. They're going to freaking carry me up there if I have to. But anyway, it's kind of interesting how you go in these spots in your mind. So that was kind of fun. He says he meant to do that. There's no way he meant to inspire me that way. I'm just telling you. But anyway, he and I talked about doing this for a long time. And so, you know, after that, you just come down. It was hard because they call it sand skiing. Coming down is a different route. It's very, very steep. You have to get your poles and kind of balance, and you almost like skiing, you're turning sideways and digging in your heels. Every person fell at least once. You fell backwards, you slide. I literally caught one of the guides one time. I reminded him at dinner I saved his life, you know, and stuff like that. But it was challenging. So it was 3 hours down, it was 8 hours up, 3 hours down to get our gear. And then we had a meeting. And in the meeting, they said, do you want to go hike 4 more hours and set up camp, or 2 more hours? We're like, I've been up since 6 a.m. the day before. I climbed all night. I'm going 2 hours minimum, you know, let's get to bed. And so we did. We ate lunch, and we set up camp. I finally got to take a nap at 3. And then I got up at 6, had dinner, went back to bed. I slept a lot. And the next day, we still had to go down another 6 more hours through the jungle. But that was it. Like, that's the climb. It was amazing.
John, you hinted at this. So many things I want to explore in that, but you hinted at this, that this was 10 years ago that this idea happened, and that maybe Sean was part of it. Tell us the genesis of why
Yeah.
Kilimanjaro, because all of us have
Yeah.
listened to a Toto song called Africa, but you actually took it seriously. What inspired you?
The genesis is our friend Bob Goff. So, you know, Bob Goff, if you know his story, he talks about the witch doctors in Africa and saving, I think it's Charlie. And when he turned 10, he climbed Kilimanjaro. And so Sean and I heard him speak, and Sean's like, we need to do that 10 years ago. And I'm like, I never even considered Kilimanjaro, but that was the beginning of planting the seed. But to kind of fast forward also, going on that 12-hour walk and thinking about how Bob Goff challenges you to become the next best version of yourself, you know, that's what I was working on. And I didn't really know that. But turning 50 was significant in my mind. You know, you have this image of like your 40-year-old self holding hands with your 50-year-old self, you know, and your 60-year-old self. So you kind of have this is Bob Goff talks to this. You have like this 10 years of this version of yourself, and then you have the new version of yourself. I've been going on this journey to create this new version of myself, and I didn't quite realize that's what I was doing exactly, but that's what I did. So I got this new whole version. I'm coming out in my 50s. I'm feeling good, feeling strong.
Oh, John, this has been great to hear. And just so that our audience doesn't miss it, I want to point out a few things I heard. How many team members you have and how many people support you is so important. And sometimes being humble gets you to the top. So those are just some lessons I learned really quick. Um, but my question is, so what do you think surprised you the most? Because you were so prepared. You had probably watched YouTube videos of people
Yes.
climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. You had heard about it from people. But what really surprised you the most about your journey?
The way I felt, we talked about this, a couple of the other guys on the trip. The way we felt watching YouTube was it's a path and a trail and a hike, like you would think of going to Colorado and just hiking around. And maybe it's uphill some. It was relentlessly uphill. It was significantly high. And when you're starting about almost 6,000 feet, and you're going all the way up to 15 and coming back down to 12 and going back up, and you're going through all that. It was crazy. And so it was harder than I thought, but I was ready. I was prepared. The other thing is the porters just amaze me. Like these guys, they were always happy. They're always singing. They generally, some of them had some music, and it was almost always 80s love music, which was really interesting, like a Air Supply or Chicago or that kind of thing. I don't know. It's like they need to know there's other music in the world. I liked it, but it was interesting. But these guys, like, they were they were just, I feel so much for them because they didn't have great clothing. Some of them had holes in their shoes, and they're serving you with a smile, and they're happy, but they're also like they're working, like they're really working up there. So they
Yeah,
touched me.
that was intriguing to me. So, like Kathryn, I picked up on several things that I thought were worth digging into. But I guess what I thought was a Sherpa, you're calling a porter,
Right.
and there could be a distinction. That could be cultural. I'm not sure.
It is. So Sherpas are only in the area around Everest, and it's an area, and that's where Sherpas are, and it's only for the Everest. They're porters in around Everest. So
Got it. Got it. So, I also just found out they love yacht rock, which is amazing because who
yeah,
doesn't love a good yacht rock
there you go.
station? That's great. But I think it's really, all joking aside, is the spirit in which these guys operate. They've dedicated their life to a journey you might make once, and they do it regularly and do it with
Yeah.
joy.
Like
This
every
feels
other
to
week they do it. They do it all the time.
Yeah. So what's the mindset of a person like that we could learn from? Because a lot of what we do as entrepreneurs, a lot of what we do as business owners, the clients that we serve, sometimes we only get to help them once or maybe twice in a period of our career, but we're doing this regularly. How do we
Yeah.
embrace the mindset of the porter?
Ooh, that's really good. I think that when you get to drive around the mountain and you see the town and you realize the conditions that they live in and the way the environment is, it's a third world country. This job is only for people that live in Tanzania. And so you have to be a citizen of Tanzania. You have to be there. It's nobody else can come be a porter. So there's pride in the job they have, and it pays well. And so that mindset is they don't want to mess up their job because it's a good job to support their family. And they all have large families, it sounds like. That's pretty common. And so they want you to have a great experience. Also, they know there's a tipping ceremony at the end, and so you're going to reward them for their efforts also, which is fun to do. I mean, they made us a cake. They made us little bracelets with our name on them. That was like, I don't know, it's cool. They like really make you feel special. And so they've been through this, like you said, Michael, like they've been through it so many times. They know where we're going to struggle. They can anticipate the moments. They just are ready for you. They've thought it all through. When you get to your tent and you have hot water, there's a place on Camp 4 that I swear it looked like the Royal Gorge. We had to go down and up just to get to camp. And the only place to get water at camp, which is on top of a ridge, is at the bottom. The guys, the porters, carry a 5-gallon bucket on their head down to bring the water because there's no running water. And they let us turn the nozzle and wash our hands with it. And you feel guilty because they had to lug that up the ravine. It's wild. So the way they serve with so much gratitude was really, it touched you.
Yeah, that just hearing you recount that story alone is what I'm talking about. I think we can learn a lot from that level of passion, that level of service, that level of genuinely desiring to leave an impression. I mean, sure, there's a, tipping ceremony at the end. By the way, for those of us in the housing industry, there's a thing called a close of escrow, and that's maybe where our tipping happens. That's where
That's
we earn
right.
our commissions. And so we're working toward an event as well that is a happiness event for everyone, but it's the things you do along the way. And it sounds like some of the things they do aren't just the amazing feats, but the attitude in which they do it. They seem to genuinely care about the experience you're having.
They do. I think well, the guides would say, "Welcome to my office." When you're out there and you're having dinner or you're just talking and you say, "Man, I can't believe you guys do this every other week." I've summoned how many, I'll ask you, how many times you summoned it? 150 times, 100, 200 times. Like, welcome to my office. Like, they love it. They take pride in that. They just love being there. You know, I think that's kind of the essence of it.
Hey, John, for you, what do you want people to take away from your journey?
Thank you for that. Well, one thing is, I've had a lot of people tell me just the beginning of the story that they're going to read the 12-hour walk and do it. But a majority of people don't even do it because they overthink it, because the weather's not right and it's not the right day, or they don't know where they're going to walk or whatever. My journey was different. I read the book, and on the next Saturday, I walked out my front door and just did it. That was the thing that led me to this. So, first of all, don't think about it so much and just go do something. Next, for me, putting it out there to the world mattered. I had to follow through. When I started telling people I'm going, I didn't want to not go for my own good, because then who am I? My word's no good. And so that's what I think about. And another thing I've kind of been processing through after, now it's been a little bit, it's only been a couple weeks, but there's some people I've talked to that say they don't really feel like they know their purpose right now and they're kind of lost. And I would say, just go try something and watch what happens. Watch what happens, because I didn't know I was going to go down this journey when I did that 12-hour walk. I didn't know that joining this gym, actually, I didn't know that there's a connection to the mayor. I'm presenting to city council in my little town, my story to inspire them in a couple weeks. That's a interesting thing to have happen. I would never have called on that. And so I now have a story to tell. I'm getting booked to tell a story and try to tie this into the housing industry, and what are my lessons learned. So I'm on the books to go talk, and I haven't finished out what all this means yet, but I will, and we'll get there. But what happened for me is I just went and did something. And, I know it's significant, but I didn't even know if I could do it, but I tried it and I went all in. And that story and the effort and putting it out there is what made it interesting. And it did give me this extra purpose, this new purpose, this new thing. I love having that thing to look forward to. I just love it. And I've been looking for it, and I'm getting close to my
Yeah,
next
that
thing. I'm getting close.
that's where my mind goes, John, is, knowing you and knowing that, you've always looked for adventurous things. I've always seen that in the time that
Yeah.
I've known you. But you're finding new levels of adventure, and there could be a temptation to think, well, you know, gosh, Kilimanjaro. I mean, now I get why Colin O'Brady is an adventure athlete. Now
Yeah.
I've got to find that new thing. Is there a way to frame that for our audience? Because some people might be thinking, yeah, I'm willing to try something, but gosh, I don't know if I'm ready to get on this journey where it's always raise the bar, raise the bar, raise the bar. How do you help someone with the mindset, as we wrap this up today, that might be thinking, okay, John's a guy that is inspiring me to try, but I don't know if I'm ready to go on this next
Yeah.
type mindset. How do you help them get over the hurdle of just take that first step? How do you help them?
Well, for me, this is how it worked. When I did the 12-hour walk, I realized about halfway through I could go the distance of a marathon. I've been athletic, but I've never ran more than a 5K in my life. The fact that I've walked like a 10-mile hike, but not on a timer, you know? And so I realized that day, like I walked 30 miles so I could get up that mountain. So that's the first step was like I did something that gave me confidence, you know? And so you got to start small and do something that gives you some confidence, you know? And then I started going to the gym. I was uncomfortable going to the gym, frankly. It was, you know, I told them my goals, and it's a group setting where there's 6 other people. It's called semi-private training. And I'm in there with other people and they're stronger than me. You know, you're judging yourself against people. And I just started going. I'm like, I can't care about what they think right now. I got to get myself in shape. And so I started going. That was another significant step for me because it led to me getting stronger. I started working out more, you know, and so I just kept building on it, one thing after another. You know, then I'm like, I better go practice. So I went up to Oklahoma and I got my packs and I took my friend Mark and we're like, let's simulate 2 days of this thing. Let's go. We walked like 18 miles in 2 days with our packs, you know, so we built on it over time. So we didn't just like go climb Kilimanjaro, you know. So we progressively did things and built onto that is I guess my answer for you.
Yeah, and I hope the audience as they process what they might be thinking right now, because we all have different versions of Kilimanjaro. Like for you, that was the literal mountain, and I'm so glad you tied it back to Bob Goff because we all three have
Yeah.
some really great memories of Bob Goff stories. So that's fun for us on the podcast. But knowing as well that, people need to sometimes take the step in order to find out. You described it earlier in a way that maybe somebody missed, but sometimes to climb that mountain, you're climbing only to go back down to climb again because mountains aren't
Yes.
just straight ridges. You're dealing with terrain and you have to sometimes get to that one smaller peak to see the valley ahead of the bigger peak, and you don't see it from the base camp. You've got to keep moving up
Yeah.
to see that. And I think that's what's inspiring to me is you're always willing to go find out. That's really the spirit of it. Well, let's go find out. And whether it was at the gym, let's go find
Yeah.
out. Whether it was the 12 hour walk, let's go find out. Whether it was Kilimanjaro, and I'm sure whatever you do next, we'll look back on and say, John just decided to go find out. And that's really what a great testimony for your life, John, is let's go find out. And it does translate, by the way, into your role as a leader with your team, whether you're recruiting people to join you or whether you're developing the people that are on your team, is you're giving them that same spirit is, hey, I don't know what you're capable of, but let's go find out. I believe
I
in you.
love that. That could be like my new hashtag on social media. Let's go find out. That's so good. Thank you for that. I did have one other thing happen. Well, kind of a natural thing that a lot of people do that climb Kilimanjaro is you hike to Everest Base Camp. That's like another Machu Picchu, the Inca Trail is one of the things. So it's kind of in that vein. So I'd already been thinking like maybe hiking a base camp at Everest might be cool. It's significant. It's 80 miles. It's 18,000 feet base camp. Kind of the romantic views. There's a peak you climb up one morning to 19,000 and watch the sun come up over Everest, you know, but it's significant challenge for the altitude and the hike. And so I was kind of thinking about that could be it. And then I get a call from a friend of mine that I hadn't talked to in about a year. And he goes, man, I've followed your story. I love it. I want to invite you to Nepal. I'm like, Nepal, like where Everest is? Like Nepal? He's like, yeah. He goes, I've been for 10 years leading a faith-based leadership retreat, and there's a 3-day retreat we're doing in January. I really want you to come. Like I feel called to bring you with me. And I'm like, can I hike to base camp? And then he's like, maybe, like that may be it. But I want you to consider going for this leadership retreat. And so I'm still going through that discovery of what that could be, but I wouldn't even have that opportunity if I didn't do these other things, you know, and I didn't even know I might have been looking for that or that opportunity could even come, you know.
So good.
And so that's the cool part. Like you don't even know what's next, but you're just open to it. I just keep saying I'm open to what's next, what's going to happen next, you know.
Yeah, one door leads to another. So
Yeah.
that's good. Wow, John. Well, with that, I should probably somehow we buzz through time like I've never seen. So I could hear a lot more, and I'm so excited to hear about your next adventures. So please, please, please keep us updated. I'm sure if you want to learn more, please follow John on social. He's on LinkedIn. I follow him on Instagram as well. Lots of great, fun information, and he's always responding, which is always fun. So, but thanks for being here, John. We are sponsored by Building Champions. You can find us on all of the platforms. And before I close things out, Michael, do you have anything to add? I can see you have this thought that's coming out.
No, well, I always have thoughts coming out. I'm trying to restrain that, Kathryn, because you're right. We do need to land this plane. But John, I just want to say publicly on this podcast, you know, you've been a client of mine, you've been a friend of mine, but I just want you to know I love you. You are one of the people that I genuinely love spending time with, like my friend Kathryn. And I feel so blessed to be in a business where these are my peers. These are the people I get to
Yeah.
work with. Like I don't know how in the world I get to work with people that I just enjoy so much, but you're one of those people, John, and I'm just thankful for you. And I want to say that out loud.
Man, that makes me feel great. I appreciate that so much. I love you guys. I've been waiting to tell you my story, both of you, just because you guys were in it in the beginning. And I've been processing what does all this mean to tell you guys, like literally figure out what all this. So I gave you my best version I know today as I've really got the process through. And it's really fun to get to come on here and share this. So thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, that's going to be a wrap. Kathryn, let's bring it to a close with Building Bigger Lives. This episode with John Donnelly. He's going to go find out, and maybe that's going to be the title that we'll camp on. And for those of you who maybe are visiting our podcast for the first time, maybe because you follow John and you wanted to hear this story, but you clicked through, maybe go find out what we've been doing on Building Bigger Lives over the last 2 years. We've had some great episodes where Kathryn and I have unpacked topics. We've had some great guests. And if you've enjoyed our episode today with John, I'm sure you'll find another one you enjoy. Please like it, follow us, share it with someone that you care about. You'll find it on all the platforms, and we'll look forward to seeing you each Wednesday on a new episode of Building Bigger Lives. Thanks.